Hi. Um, Today I'm going to talk a little bit about my country and narcissism in my country. I got a personal message from another YouTuber, victim of narcissistic abuse. She contacted me because she knows Greece, she's been to Greece. She came to Greece about 20 years ago, I think she said. From what I understood, to run away from all this abuse and family problems. So while I was explaining to her that my goal was to do Greek video, except from two people, it's like there's no interest. And she added to that is probably because in Greece the word family has another meaning, and people are more close together and more bonded between. So I doubt there's any narcissism. What she thought of Greece was like a country where family, the word family, has a great meaning, and family members are very close to each other and very bonded between them, which is not always the case. This is what it seems to be. So we are very warm-hearted people, very outgoing and friendly and open, and I could also say we seem to be straightforward. I don't want to ruin the romantic side of Greece. It was nice to hear about it, but at the same time I was like, no, it's not like that really, There are loads of narcissists in this country. Mostly women. You'd think Greek, because you think Greek, macho style and all that. No, there's no more. There's very few men still out there who have a saying in the family. It's the woman who wears the pants in Greece. Absolutely, is the woman. Maybe they like to pretend they do outside, and the woman lets them pretend that they are, the head of the family. But inside the house, the man is not the head of the family. And this has been going out for the last 2 generations, because, most probably during the war. Most probably that's how it started. I mean, the man went to war, and then all men were fighting or being busy getting killed, and the women had to take care of the house in every way, whether it was money, whether it was feeding the children, whether it was education of the children, anything. So the women went up a level, of bossiness. And during those days, I think they most probably expected. This is the thing also. It's what they expected from the man. They put the boys to work very early, so to help bringing money in, okay? But it was mostly the girls that they were trying to marry. It's strange also, it's very strange to say that in my country until it was when I was younger, I remember they talked about a lot. 20, 30, okay, let's say 25, 30 years ago, they still gave what we call prika. Prika is what a family gives to the guy who's gonna marry their daughter. So I mean, it's like they didn't believe that their daughter was worth their weight in gold. They had to add, a little building, a little field, a little something, a little silvery, silver stuff. Well, they had to add something anyway. So the guy who was going to get married, it was never out of love. This is for sure. It's very rare cases until 30 years ago that people got married out of love. It was organized from the family before. For the girls I'm talking about, okay? Oh. So to convince somebody who's not in love with their daughter to marry their daughter, they had to buy him, you know? They had to give him an interesting exchange, you know, for that. So, and this was the first thing that men were asked. Not, can I have a look at your daughter, please? No, what is the big... Oh, there's a lot of things in my country that were done like to influence narcissism. The other thing is that I see also from my mother-in-law, what happened? I mean, these people didn't have money, okay? During the war, they didn't have money. But they surely knew how to have sex. And you hear about families with minimum 6 children. Because 8, 12, 15 children, you know? Because they needed working hands. Was the reason why people made children. They needed working hands. So, if they couldn't offer them what the children needed, they would do like my mother-in-law's parents did. They sent her when she was 11, I think, into a family. They sent her to a rich family. So the rich family would have them like, either if they had children, babysitter, or do all the work at home. I mean, they gave them food and housing, and they would give them a little money at the end of the week, and they would take care of everything in the house. Ironing, cleaning, everything. Okay, so they were trained to become housekeepers, in a way. And the money anyway, like my mother-in-law says, she never kept any of the money. The money went straight to her father, to the family. They participated in raising up the rest of the children. I mean, how ridiculous is this? Anyway, I really make children to use them for your convenience. For me, it's sick. So these, if you think about it, all these women of my mother-in-law's generation, they have the feeling of abandonment. They have the feeling of not being loved. I mean, they didn't get any love and affection from anybody. They had to learn everything on their own, okay? And at a very young age. When I first came here and I met my husband, I had a really difficult period with my mother-in-law because she's old-fashioned. I mean, and she's been taught in a way, and she follows that. She's a lovely lady. She's really nice, very open-hearted. But there was some things that me, coming from abroad, I mean, I've lived in England, in France, in Belgium, and I come back to Greece, and there were some things that I just couldn't digest. One of the things I remember was that she expected her son, being the man of the family now, because her father, oh, that's a big story. I'll ask my husband if I can talk about his story. He's got a really crazy story too. His father, an alcoholic who ended up a vegetable in bed, okay, was not anymore the family caretaker. So she put all her hopes and everything in her son. Unfortunately for her, he fell in love with a very European-minded person. So she made us understand from the beginning that she was expecting her son and me, and my family that we're gonna have, to take care of her in her old days. Because this is what they do in Greece. You are made to take care of me. You can just imagine, let's have a baby, because somebody's going to have to take care of us when we get old. And you very often hear Greek people say, they show their children, she is my favorite one. She's going to be the one who's going to bring the glass of water when I need it, when I'm old. It's the image they have, sitting in the armchair, and the child bringing you, grown-up child now. Daddy, do you want some water? Drink some water. Take your pill. She's going to be the one who's going to bring me my glass of water. So, meaning she's going to be the one that is going, to be by my side till I die. Yeah. There are very weird stories like this about the mentality in my country. Anyway, so when my mother-in-law, I made her understand straight away. I said, look, I'm not making children to take care of me. So, and I don't, the country I come from, people put money aside to go to the old people's house at the end. They don't expect their children to take them in their house, put a bed in the sitting room for them. Doesn't work like that in my country. I know, it's harsh for me. But no, because she was, I was new, I was shy, so she was a bit, making me feel bad that, what? You're not going to do that? I'm not asking for myself, but you're not going to do that for your mother? So no, my mother's got enough money on the side, she's going to go straight to the nursing home when she can't anymore. Not that they'll ever take her in the nursing home. We've talked about that. That was 20 years ago, okay? When my children are grown, I said, it's going to be the time where my husband and I are going to have some private time, some time to ourselves to do what, we want to do, whether this is traveling or whatever it can be, I'm not starting again because it's going to be your turn. If your daughter wants to do it, that's her thing. So anyway, it was very hard for her to understand that no, it's not going to happen. And the second thing that for me is very, very narcissistic. And I still don't get why people, let their parents impose that on them. Is the fact that when you have a child, they're gonna have the name of the grandfather of the father, on the father's side, okay? And then the second name goes by the father of the mother. Do you get what I mean? So, this is why in my country, when you call Yorgo, there's like a million Yorgo. If you call Yanni, there's like a million Yannis. And it's usually, there's 4 names. But Yorgo and Yanni are the first 2, okay? Why? Because it goes on from grandfather to grandchild. And on and on. So, the grandfather is called Yorgo. His son is called Yanni because the great-grandfather was called Yanni. His son is going to be called Yorgo, and then Yanni again, and it goes on and on and on. And there's no originality in names at all. The funny thing is that, and my husband's father is called Yorgo, and my father is called Yorgo. They're both drunks, alcoholic, big-time alcoholics. So you can imagine, what? No, thank you. That's a very heavy name, it's doomed. There's no way I'm giving that name to my child. No way. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to be the one who's going to choose the name to my child, and he's gonna have he's a person of his own, My child is going to be a person of his own. I don't want him carrying any legacy, I don't want him carrying any story around. And I don't want him being reminded all the time that he has his father, both his grandparents' name. He's going to have a different name that nobody else has in the family. Anyway, day came that we were christening my son, my first son. And at the church, what did they do? I nearly killed my husband. But then I thought, okay, doesn't matter, it's not so important after all. It's only a second name. So the time they're christening him, and the priest, I hear the priest say the name, and he says his name. And second name straight away, George. Like, what? I look at my husband, I look at my mother-in-law, she was like smiling, you know. They fucking called the priest. They called the priest without me, both my husband and my mother-in-law. And they said, give him the second name George. They knew I was mad for a little while, let's say the truth. I said to my husband, that is not, what you did is not correct. It's done, but I said, if I ever hear your mother or you call my child, our child, George, there's going to be hell to pay. That's all I'm telling you. So if it satisfies you that it's written on the paper, okay. So the other story was my mother-in-law has a friend who was leaving her house to the grandson, and she has 2 granddaughters. She wanted to make sure that the grandson keeps the house as it is, with all the paintings, the paintings, she calls them paintings, but it's embroidery that she's made. You know, this big canvas embroidered with horses running in the fields or something like that. You know, it's Greek style. As it is, not to change anything and not to take one frame out of the wall. And I was like, what is your problem? You know, I mean, you're not going to be alive anyway. So what's your problem? What's he's going to do with the frames and the canvas anyway, whatever it's called. And she was like, there's no way the other 2 are going to take that. I said, who are you talking about? His sisters. I didn't know how old this woman's grandchildren were, and she talked like that, but they seemed, you know, you talk like that. If you talk like that about somebody, you consider that they're over 18, 20. No. When I asked my mother-in-law how old the girls were, she said, I think she said 7 and 10 or something like that. I was like, what? She talking like that about children? I don't want the other 2 taking anything from that house. They belong to him. And I was like, yeah, but what if he doesn't like it and he would like to burn them once you're dead? But your granddaughter likes them. I mean, you've made it. Wouldn't you be happier that that the person who likes it takes it? And she was like, yeah, but he's the one who's got my name. She's leaving her whole house and wants everything to stay in that house because her grandson has her name. I mean, how crazy is that? What an idea do you have about yourself? That of grandiosity, you know, that you think that this child is better than any other child because only because he has your name. So I mean, when people tell me that there are no narcissists in this country, I tell you that we will soon find out that at least 50% are narcissists. And they're women. They're women who castrate their sons. And they're women who turn their daughters into slaves. Call it metaphorically, call it whatever you want, but that's how it is. Okay? They turn their daughters into slaves to take care of the family, and then they castrate their sons. I mean, they fucking keep them in the house until they're 40. It's the only country in the world where the boys are not in a hurry to leave the house. They go and study and they come back in the family house. I mean, you're 20. Go and rent an apartment. Go and live on your own, you know. This is what this life is about. And if you tell them that, you know what they're going to say? Who's gonna wash my clothes? Who's gonna, at least at home I have a cooked meal and I have my clothes washed and ironed. This is what they're gonna answer. They've been so cotton protected all their lives, making them feel that they're incapable of taking decisions, incapable of taking care of themselves, incapable of doing anything, you know. And if I'm not next to you to protect you, what's going to happen to you, you know? You're going to go outside in the world, my son, you know. You know what's out there. Stay at home, you know. What's your favorite? What do you want tomorrow for dinner? What do you want tomorrow for lunch? It's unbelievable that they put up with this shit. It's unbelievable. I will add underneath 2 videos. I don't know if I'm allowed to translate them over, but it's advertisements. I mean, if you want to have a laugh, they joke about themselves. If you see our advertisements, they are so funny and they're so typical Greek, you know, family. But they will wake up. They will. I do hope they will wake up and put an end to that. Otherwise, they're just going to repeat the story over and over again. Bye.